Let me ask you something dangerous. Why do so many older men with experience, status, and even money, still get rejected or overlooked by younger women? It's not always because of looks. It's not because of age. It's because of habits. And tonight, I'm pulling back the curtain on the 4 habits that instantly make older men unattractive to younger women. If you're over 30, 40, or even 50, and you've wondered why she's pulling away, why she loses interest, or why she never takes you seriously, this video is your wake-up call. Stick with me because habit 4 is the most dangerous. It silently kills attraction faster than anything else. But before we dive deep, let me be clear about something. This isn't about manipulation or tricks. This is about understanding the raw, unfiltered psychology of attraction. Because when you understand what really drives her away, you can finally stop sabotaging yourself. So let's get into it. Habit number 1. Acting like her father instead of her lover. One of the quickest ways to destroy attraction is slipping into dad mode. Older men often think they're being protective, guiding, or even helpful. But to her, it feels controlling. When you constantly give unsolicited advice, lecture her on life, or treat her like a child, guess what happens? She stops seeing you as exciting and starts seeing you as a babysitter. Let me paint this picture for you. You're out with her, and she mentions she's thinking about switching jobs. Instead of being curious, instead of asking her what excites her about it, you immediately launch into a 10-minute lecture about financial stability, career planning, and why she should think this through more carefully. In your mind, you're being wise. You're sharing your experience. You're helping her avoid mistakes you've made. In her mind, you just became her disapproving father. Younger women don't want another parent. They want a man who makes them feel alive, desired, and feminine, not someone who scolds them about staying out late or tells them how to manage their career. Here's what happens on a psychological level. When you slip into parental mode, you trigger her childhood response patterns. She starts feeling like a child around you. And when a woman feels like a child, sexual attraction dies instantly. Think about it from her perspective. She's already fighting to be taken seriously as an adult in her career, with her family, in society. The last thing she wants is for the man she's dating to make her feel immature or incapable. But here's the twist that most men miss. Younger women are attracted to older men, partly because of their experience and wisdom. They just don't want it shoved down their throat like medicine. The difference between attractive guidance and unattractive lecturing is simple. Attractive guidance comes when she asks for it. Attractive guidance is delivered as options, not orders. Attractive guidance maintains her autonomy and dignity. When she asks, "What do you think I should do about my boss?" the attractive response isn't a detailed action plan. It's something like, "That sounds frustrating. What feels right to you?" Here's the dark truth. When you step into the role of authority figure, she steps out of the role of lover. Attraction dies instantly. And trust me, the moment she stops seeing you as a man and starts seeing you as a parent, you've already lost her. Habit number 2, overcompensating with money and status. Let's get brutally honest. Yes, younger women notice if you're successful. They notice the car, the lifestyle, the confidence that often comes with it. But here's where most older men mess up. They use money as a crutch instead of an amplifier. Buying her things, paying for everything, flexing your wallet, these things don't create real desire. In fact, they often create the opposite effect. She might enjoy the free dinners, the gifts, maybe even the trips, but deep down she sees through it. Let me explain what's really happening in her mind when you lead with your wallet. First, she starts wondering if you think you're not enough without the money. If every date involves you spending hundreds of dollars, if you're constantly buying her things she didn't ask for, if you name drop expensive brands, she begins to question your confidence in yourself. Second, it creates a transactional dynamic. Instead of her being with you because she desires you, she's with you because of what you provide. This feels hollow to her, and deep down, it feels hollow to you too. Third, and this is the psychological killer, it makes her feel like a commodity instead of a woman. When you shower her with expensive gifts early on, when you insist on paying for everything, even when she offers to split, when you constantly talk about your income or possessions, you're sending a subconscious message. I don't think my personality, my presence, or my company is enough to keep you interested. The more you try to buy her, the more she wonders. Does he even think he's enough without his money? This is where dark psychology kicks in. When a younger woman senses you're leading with money because you're insecure about your age, your looks, or your value, her subconscious registers you as weak. Here's what's really twisted about this. The men who are most successful with younger women often aren't the richest ones. They're the ones who are comfortable with their success without needing to prove it constantly. Think about it this way. If you met a woman who constantly talked about how beautiful she was, who pointed out every compliment she received, who seemed to need everyone to acknowledge her attractiveness, would you find that attractive? Of course not. Desperation for validation is repulsive, regardless of what you're trying to validate. Money without presence, status without masculinity, that doesn't attract, it repels. The right way to let your success enhance your attractiveness is to let it speak for itself. Pick nice restaurants because you enjoy them, not because they're expensive. Dress well because it makes you feel confident, not because you want her to see the price tag. Let your success create options and experiences, not obligations and expectations. Remember this. If she's only with you because of what you can give, she's never truly with you. Habit number 3, neglecting your energy and masculine edge. Older men often fall into comfort. They stop training their body. They stop caring about how they carry themselves. They let their energy fade, and younger women can feel it instantly. Listen carefully, because this might be the most important section of this entire breakdown. Attraction isn't about having a six-pack or perfect hair. It's about your energy, your presence, the way you walk into a room. Energy is everything. It's the invisible force that makes some 50-year-old men more magnetic than 25-year-old men. It's what separates the older men who attract younger women from those who get politely ignored. When you've lost your spark, when your conversations feel dull, when your energy feels drained, she feels it. And no amount of cologne, nice suits, or fancy dinners will save you. Let me break down what I mean by energy. Because too many men think this is just about being loud or hyperactive. Your energy is how you move through space, confident versus hesitant. How you speak, clear and decisive versus mumbling and uncertain. How you handle challenges, calm and resourceful versus stressed and reactive. How you engage with life, curious and engaged versus bored and checked out. Younger women are drawn to older men because they expect a man who's solid, confident, and grounded. But if instead they find someone sluggish, negative, or low energy, it's over before it starts. Here's what kills your energy faster than anything. Physical neglect. I'm not saying you need to look 25, but if you've completely given up on your physical health, if you move like an old man at 45, if you're out of breath walking upstairs, that's not attractive at any age. Mental stagnation. If you stopped learning, stopped growing, stopped challenging yourself, it shows. If your conversations are all about the past, if you complain about kids these days, if you've become cynical about everything, that energy is toxic. Emotional flatness. If you've lost your passion, your humor, your ability to be playful, she feels it immediately. If you take everything too seriously, If you can't laugh at yourself, if you've forgotten how to have fun, why would she want to spend time with you? Here's the psychological trick. Energy is contagious. If your vibe feels tired, she feels tired around you. If your vibe feels alive, she feels alive around you. This is why some older men can walk into a room and immediately become the center of attention, while others fade into the background. It's not about age, it's about the energy you bring. The good news: energy is completely within your control. You can rebuild it at any age. Start moving your body regularly. Challenge yourself to learn new things. Surround yourself with people who inspire you rather than drain you. Find activities that light you up. But here's the warning. If you don't feed her energy, don't be surprised when she starts craving it from someone else. Habit 4. Becoming emotionally needy, the silent attraction killer. This is the one most men never see coming. You might have your career, your money, your stability, but if you fall into emotional neediness, younger women will run for the hills. This habit is particularly dangerous for older men because society tells us we should be more emotionally available and vulnerable. But there's a massive difference between healthy, emotional openness and toxic neediness. What does neediness look like? Constantly texting her for reassurance, getting jealous every time she talks to another guy, fishing for compliments or validation, needing her attention to feel secure, making her responsible for your emotional state, analyzing every interaction for signs of rejection, requiring constant confirmation that she likes you. At first, she might find it flattering. Oh, he really cares about me. But very quickly, it suffocates her. Here's what's happening psychologically. When you become emotionally needy, you're essentially asking her to be your therapist, your mother, and your source of self-worth, all rolled into one. That's not a romantic dynamic. That's a burden. Younger women are drawn to older men because they expect emotional stability, someone who doesn't get rattled, someone who doesn't cling, someone who makes her feel secure instead of smothered. But when you collapse into insecurity, you destroy that image. Suddenly, instead of being the rock she can lean on, you become another person she has to take care of. Let me give you a specific example that happens all the time. She doesn't text you back for a few hours, and instead of assuming she's busy, like a secure man would, you start spiraling. You send another text asking if everything's okay. Then maybe another one. When she finally responds, you immediately ask why she didn't text back sooner. In your mind, you're just being caring and concerned. In her mind, you're being controlling and insecure. Here's the dark twist. She may never tell you directly. She'll just pull away, slowly, quietly, until one day you look around and she's gone. Why doesn't she tell you? Because she doesn't want to hurt your feelings, and because she instinctively knows that explaining your neediness to you will only make you more needy. The psychological principle at work here is simple. Neediness is the opposite of attractiveness because it signals low value. When you need her validation to feel okay about yourself, you're essentially saying, "I'm not confident in my own worth, so I need you to convince me I'm worthwhile." This creates what psychologists call a negative feedback loop. The needier you become, the more she pulls away. The more she pulls away, the needier you become. It's a death spiral for attraction. But here's what's really insidious about neediness. It often masquerades as love and caring. You tell yourself you're just being attentive, just showing her how much she means to you. But underneath, it's about your fear. Fear of losing her, fear of being alone, fear of not being good enough. The antidote to neediness isn't coldness or emotional unavailability. It's self-sufficiency. It's being okay with yourself regardless of her response. It's having a rich, fulfilling life that doesn't revolve around her approval. Here's the test. If she suddenly became unavailable for a week, would you be okay? Would you have other sources of joy, fulfillment, and purpose? Or would you be miserable, anxiously waiting for her to return your calls? If you take nothing else from this video, remember this: neediness is the fastest way to turn attraction into disgust. The deeper psychology. Why these habits are so destructive. Now that we've covered the 4 habits, let's dig deeper into why they're so devastating to attraction. Each of these habits violates what psychologists call the fundamental principles of attraction. Emotional independence. Attractive people don't need others to feel complete. Authentic confidence. Real confidence doesn't need constant validation. Masculine presence. This isn't about domination. It's about being grounded and decisive. Mutual respect. Treating her as an equal, not a child or a transaction. When you engage in these habits, you're not just being unattractive, you're actively triggering her psychological alarm systems. Every woman has internal radar for certain types of men: the controlling type, the insecure type, the man-child type, the desperate type. These are evolved responses that helped our ancestors avoid partners who would be poor providers, unreliable, or emotionally draining. When you slip into these habits, you're lighting up all the wrong signals in her brain. The path forward. What attractive older men do differently. So what do attractive older men do differently? They embrace their age without apology. They don't try to act 25. They don't dress like teenagers. They own their experience and maturity as advantages, not disadvantages. They maintain their edge. They stay physically active, intellectually curious, and emotionally engaged with life. They have interests, passions, and goals that exist independently of any woman. They lead without controlling. They make decisions confidently, but respect her autonomy. They offer guidance when asked, but don't force their opinions. They're generous without being transactional. They might pay for dinner because they want to, not because they expect something in return. They give gifts thoughtfully, not compulsively. They're emotionally stable without being robotic. They can be vulnerable and open without being needy or dependent. The key insight that changes everything. Attraction isn't about being perfect. It's about being secure in your imperfections. Final thoughts. Age is not your enemy. Here's the ultimate truth that most men never grasp. You don't lose attraction because of your age. You lose attraction because of how you carry your age. Some men at 50 are more magnetic than they were at 25 because they've learned to embody true masculine confidence. Others become less attractive with each passing year because they've accumulated insecurities, bad habits, and self-defeating beliefs. The choice is yours. If you saw yourself in any of these habits, don't panic. Awareness is power. Now you know what to stop and what to start doing differently. Your age can be your greatest asset in attraction if you learn to wield it correctly. Experience, stability, confidence, resources, emotional intelligence. These are all potential advantages that younger men simply don't have, but only if you avoid the traps we've discussed today. Remember, the most attractive older men aren't the ones trying to compete with 25-year-olds. They're the ones who've become the best version of themselves at their age. That's the man women of all ages find irresistible. So let's recap. The 4 habits that make older men instantly unattractive to younger women are: 1. Acting like her father instead of her lover. 2. Overcompensating with money and status. 3. Neglecting your energy and masculine edge. 4. Becoming emotionally needy. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, hit that like button right now and subscribe to the channel for more dark psychology and relationship truths. And when you're done here, don't stop. Check out the other videos on this channel. You'll uncover even more secrets about attraction, relationships, and human behavior that most men will never hear in their lifetime. Trust me, you'll want to binge them. Because here's the secret: most men will never hear. The game doesn't end when you get older. It just requires different strategies. And now you know what they are.